Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone is having a good day. Hope you're all well and happy. Let's talk about Superman 2025. Let's talk about this movie. Because I would highly encourage you all to go watch this movie. I was a long-time fan, as you guys know. I always have the hat. This was on my hat. I've been a long-time fan. I watched I watched the black and white show growing up. I watched the Christopher Reeve ones, and I watched Superman Returns. I watched Man of Steel when that came out. I followed the Snyderverse all the way through. I also watched Lois and Clark when I was younger, when that was actually on TV. I actually watched that. I watched Smallville, finally. But I did watch it. And I've seen all these things. I still need to see that newer show that has come and gone, I think now, right? But this movie, Superman 2025, I just saw this one, and I must say that again, you should really go see this movie. You should really go see this movie. And we're going to talk a little bit about why, but the most important thing is that you understand that it really feels like there's a whole campaign online to hate on this movie and get people to clear some things up for people that might be on the title. But again, this is just to clear some things up. It's not to give you. I'm not going to sit here and spoil anything. I'm really trying not to do that. But that's one of the ones that I saw floating around where people thought it was lame, his own laser eyes. No, it's not the case. That's not why his eyes are burned. It's not why. I'm not going to tell you why. But that is not the case. Another thing, the suit's not baggy. It looks fine. There's nothing wrong with it. A lot of the footage and stuff. But no, I mean, it looks fine. It looks good. Yeah, I really don't think there's really anything wrong with it. I gotta be honest with you. After seeing the movie. Yeah, if I just sat here and I watched like little snippets here and there that people pulled and tried to make look bad, probably. Because I think that's what's going on. And that's kind of my point. Watch the movie. With that being said, David Corenswet being a good Superman, like with David Corenswet being good, all the cast being good, like I just highly recommend going to see this movie. He was phenomenal. David Corenswet, the guy that played Superman, the guy that played Clark Kent. That's who that is. He was phenomenal. Truthfully. And I was one of the ones that had my doubts too, and a lot of this was, again, because of the stuff that I had seen that made me think otherwise. But again, I didn't listen to that. I held, I held back as much as I could, I didn't sit here and I talk about it. I didn't sit here and slam it. I really didn't. I just, just like with almost any movie out there, you really can misjudge it. I mean, aside from Dragon Ball Evolution, like, we just knew that was going to be terrible. But, you know, aside from something like that, you know, it's the sort of thing where, like, yeah, like, Lex Luthor was awesome. I actually really liked this Lex Luthor. I'm not going to say too much about him and the bad guys, but there's some cool surprises there. And yeah, there was one part that I had a little bit of a problem with. Just a little bit of a plot hole. That's it. Nothing huge, nothing. And the nerds that would come from maybe Marvel instead of DC, they might complain about this because they're going to be looking for something to complain. Don't let them destroy the movie for this. Seriously, don't let them destroy the movie because of this, because I think it doesn't destroy the movie. I think you can look past it and just be done with it. But I am going to tell you what that is for constructive criticism for everybody, you know, just to kind of understand that I can look past this. It's just a creative difference. And if anything, I'd love to hear what James Gunn, like, why he decided to go with this. Maybe he has some reason why this worked that I don't know about, okay? And so that's the only reason. I'm not going to say anything about the scene. I'm not going to say what led them there. I'm not going to say what happens because of... I'm just going to tell you the one little thing I have a little bit of a problem with. And that's it, okay? So, spoiler. There's a scene where Superman's being sucked into a black hole. And to escape this black hole, he uses his frozen breath to push himself backwards out of nothingness. So my problem is, it doesn't really work that way. What's he pushing against? There's nothing, like, again, like, the breath isn't pushing against anything. It's a black hole. So I would have loved to see him fly out of it, maybe struggle a little bit and fly out of it instead of that. But again, doesn't ruin the movie for me. It is what it is. I can move past it and move on. But for constructive criticism purposes, yeah, I mean, like, try not to do that too much with Superman, because people are going to pick that apart already. The guy is OP. The guy is overpowered already. So people, this is what they do. They pick it apart. They try so hard to discredit it. This movie, you really can't do that. The movie is very good. I give it about an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 is about where I'd arrive with it. I loved Lois and Clark's dynamic. They actually had a really cool dynamic that didn't feel like too overly done. It felt more realistic than some of the takes that I've seen with, the Lois and Clark dynamic. And I also really liked, there's a couple little hidden gems that, this version has, this Superman movie has that they've kind of never done before. There's a couple little gems that, as far as I know, they've never really done in a live action movie or show before. It's good stuff. It is. It's good stuff. It's not... I just don't think that you should do that so close to the movie being out. Because people are gonna... You know what I mean? I just don't think you should do that so close to the movie being out, because people are gonna use that. They're gonna... You know what I mean? Like... So yeah, just... It's not a bomb. I just think it would be cool if Cavill came back in some capacity, like some sort of ultimate version or something. I just think that would be cool. That's like this guy, Corny Sweat's amazing. He really is. He nailed the freaking role. Nailed it. no concerns about that. The guy playing him is absolutely top quality acting, and took the role seriously for sure. But it'd still be cool to, you know, see that in some capacity, you know, where they just use a different version and stuff like that. Maybe Cavill. You know, because obviously we all, you know, that would still pay respect to that universe, and give people closure, I think, eventually. But, you know, you don't have to. I mean, you do what you want, but just saying, it would be an option to. Yeah, it's like just an option to consider, you know, like for people that really liked that version, to give them kind of closure on it. Because again, you know, not to take away from this one, again, this one, it deserves that credit. It's really good, man. It's really good. And the dog, Crypto, is amazing. Crypto is even if you just want to see it to watch scenes with Crypto. Yeah, you're wondering how much he's in the movie? He's in the entire movie. Crypto is in the entire movie. And no, he doesn't die. So I am parked now. I'm gonna, just for purposes of, I am gonna answer you, but just for purposes of non-spoilers, I'm deleting that. You know, just because I didn't spoil it. It's not to be rude. So what I will say is I will answer that. Basically, the reason I think that's the case is because what you could do is you could justify it by saying Luthor would have had some sort of line with lead. Remember, he was wearing a suit originally, and like, so he would have developed technology to sway those, you know, the X-ray vision. Luthor's smart enough to do that. He would have considered that. Like, they're just going to explain it with that, and I would too. That's reasonable. You know, I mean, Luthor had drones and shit. Like, the guy wasn't the brightest. The whole point was that he was not bright, so he had to sit there and dictate everything he was doing. So you know, like, he even went all out to do that. So it's rational to think that he would have, you know. Great question. You know, I'm not going to tell you I didn't think that too. Never mentioned. Yeah, that's okay. It doesn't have to be. I mean, if you want it to be, that's a fair point. I understand your argument. Good argument. That's a fair point. You know, you can fiber, like, you can, like we, you know, like we've learned how to put carbon fiber, you know, like things like that. You can do stuff with fiber these days, where you can make, you know, fabrics and stuff more out of lead material and stuff like that. Plus, who's to say it wasn't a helmet under there, and the helmet didn't have, you know, didn't have that line with it. But either way, if you remember, the thing I told you about where I didn't want to give too many spoilers away, but remember remember how they had a special reason in this one why people didn't know that he was Clark Kent? Do you remember that? Well, Luthor could technically just be reverse engineering that technology and using that too. So, without spoiling it for people and telling them exactly what it is, you could rationalize Luthor reverse engineered that for himself and used that on Superman. And then it was built into the helmet. So when it finally came off and he saw him, it was the sort of thing where he didn't even have to tell him, but he did tell him too. He did audibly say it. So. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I agree with you, like, in a really valid point. I love it. But again, like, you know, I definitely could see them explaining it that way, and I know it wasn't mentioned. So fair point. And that's a good, you know, way for us to sit here and justify talking about those spoilers, so they can, you know, try to remember to put details in there like that. Give me a second.
Welcome to Sonic. Give me just a few moments.
Sure. But you know, Luther could reverse engineer that with the technology. Remember, he was the one that created that clone in the first place, so he would have the tech to be able to understand how to make it work with Kryptonians too. Like, again, I could just sit here and go back and forth, but again, good points, man. Still good points. I agree with you. Valid points. But yeah, Mr. Terrific was one of my favorite characters. And just all of them were top-notch actors. All of them were. Well, yeah, he was phenomenal. Oh, that's okay. Can I get a foot-long chili cheese dog?
Alright, anything else?
And can I also get a large cherry limeade?
Alright, anything else?
That's it.
Alright, so 805, you
Thanks. Yeah, Crypto was great. I loved Crypto. I liked the setup. I liked that they had the explanation right at the beginning of the movie, guys. There was literally a bunch of text that explained the setup of why, like, it's not an origin. Like, this takes place 3 years after Superman's already revealed he's Superman to the public. So, like, a lot has actually happened, and the setup is... I'll give you this spoiler. So, spoilers for anybody that doesn't want to hear this, because it does set up the movie right in the beginning, though. Basically, the big tiff, everybody's talking about and I don't know if they used a real country, just how it's going. So, I don't know if it just ended up being that it was convenient. Basically, at the setup at the beginning, Superman stops a war. And, you know, like... there's obviously everybody feels differently about that. So like that's all. Like basically they're about to. But yeah, it's yeah, stops a war. And I think that actually happened in the comics, didn't it? Wasn't there a comic when he did that? I can't remember. I feel like there was. What would the super hearing have to do with it? I don't think that's not how it works. Like you still have to understand that the other version is still just as fast as him. So like. Well, actually faster. Like, the point was that he was faster and stronger. So, like, the point is, yeah, like, really all I had to do is take out, you know, you get what I'm saying. But like, you know, I think that that's not really, because even if that's the case, like, he can hear them, but, like, does that constitute him reacting in real time just because he can hear what's no, not necessarily. He still got hit, and the guy still hits faster and stronger than he does. So, like it would be a matter of getting ahead of that using brain over brawn, and we all know who was behind that. So, like, that's actually the kind of the point, was that they were already showing you that this version of Lex is supposed to be smarter. Like, this is definitely like the smart version, the one that's you know, that might, you know, like, make the giant mech suit eventually. You get what I'm saying? Like, even the tech that he was making for Ultraman kind of like looked like that. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of looked like his later, you know, like the suit Lex uses to actually fight Superman in the comics. Like, it was shaped like that. I think it was green, though, right? I don't remember.
Cherry London with a foot long?
Yeah.
805. 10.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, can I? Oh, shit. Can I have some napkins, please?
Yeah, I got you.
I can understand that. Foot long doesn't go in a bag. They sort of hand it to you. So I understand if you're good. Oh, man. Get my foot long cherry limeade. Again, I appreciate the comments, because it's a valid point. For sure, and that's why I said, like, I agree. I just wasn't trying to, like, spoil too much of it, but yeah, for sure. I mean, valid points, and like I said earlier, I don't know if you were here earlier, but I made the point where he used his frozen breath to push himself out of a black hole. Well, like, what's that breath pushing against? You know what I mean? Like, if he does that, what's it pushing against that he somehow... You know what I mean? Like, that breath would have to push against an object or something, like the air. You know, it's a black hole. You know, like, that doesn't compute. That doesn't make any sense. It's logically, there's no reason for that. And like I said, I would have much rather he like struggle like flying to get out of it, and then eventually like Crypto helps him, and they both get him out. Then him like using his frozen breath like that, like it's something clever or something. I didn't think it was that clever at all. You know, like it's just, you know, it was cute. You know, it doesn't work. So like that's all. But that's okay. Like again, I still give it about an 8. I'd give it an 8. I mean, I'm sure that's pretty generous. I think most people are not going to do that. This foot long is completely like doused in, like I can't even eat it. I'm gonna try. This is good. But I'm not gonna eat all of it. Like the bread's all, there's just chili all over it. They put so much chili. The annoying thing is, I'm sure people complain if they don't put too much. I'm sure they do, because that was always my experience, that people didn't know what they were doing or wanted, or you know, almost like the guy from the one. You think that's what you want. You like the Blizzard game. You think that's what, you know, and it's like a lot of times that's true, where somebody will order something and they think you're trying to jip them. It's like, do you really want it that way? Do you really want that much sauce on there? Is that going to ruin it? You know, number of people that oh my gosh. I will never understand tartar sauce, but extra tartar sauce? Whew. That's just gross. That's just, I'm just extra tartar sauce. It's so funny. Extra cholesterol. Yeah, I couldn't get enough of Nathan Fillion for sure. Guy Gardner was great. But yeah, the suit looked just like the exact animated series I think they took that from, right? That's just I hope I'm saying his name right. That's why I don't want to say his name. Everybody has like these complex names. I don't want to say it wrong. Andy Tudyk, right? Andy Tudyk. Okay, I recognize him as. I first saw him as Steve the Pirate, Dodgeball. Who was Steve the Pirate? He was Gary. He was one of the bots. That's cool. Cooler? They were cool. I mean, they were all. I actually like this. I like the style they went with all of it. I thought it suited what they were doing. I thought it was okay. It was good. I thought they were about on par with each other. I mean, definitely cool though. I agree. I mean, they're cool for sure. I mean, Superman, he's a symbol. He's an icon. He has to, like, that's the point. Like, that's got to look a certain way, and it can't be cheesy. It can't be, or people are gonna feel that way about him and stuff like that. That's why that's sort of important. But it doesn't look cheesy at all. Like, I know some of the behind the scenes and stuff like that, it's always hard to tell when they're filming stuff. It doesn't look like that in the movie. It's just hard to tell when, like, you just, certain angles, pictures, well, that's why they didn't set the angle that way, They know what they're doing. I want to know I want to have a little bit more closure about the basically, like, I guess they're gonna rebuild. Like, obviously gonna rebuild, but just like, talking about that a little bit at least. Like, just the destruction of Metropolis. Like at the end of the movie, there was this literally reality itself was literally tearing apart. It's like, and we're just not gonna talk about that. It's okay. He stopped the bad guy. It's okay. Big surprise, guys. Superman wins in the end. I know. Huge spoiler, right? Superman wins in the end. But Superman always did that. I mean, even the Superman image you're seeing now, like, it's right in the middle of the screen. Like, like Superman always did that. It was only more recent that they actually had him lose him for Man of Steel and for Cavill's version. But I think it suited that version. It was just it was definitely different. Man of Steel was told in a more dark tone. But this is not that way. This is definitely the more of a Superman Returns tone, for sure. Oh, I'd put it on par. I think it was definitely up there with some of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Because, I mean, there's glaring plot holes in that, too. I mean, geez, we could sit here and talk about how you physically can't turn back time by flying really fast around the Earth backwards. Like, that doesn't... You know, I mean, we can sit here and do that, too. But everybody was fine with it. You know, doesn't... And that was the conclusion, too. You remember? He was so pissed. Lois died. He's gonna fly backwards and suddenly... No. But remember, wasn't there consequence to that? Technically, isn't that why, like, didn't we see, like, the lead-in to what the next movie was going to be, right? Like, they broke out of the prison they're in, right? Not the next movie, the next part of the movie. That was, like, the conclusion to, like, that part. And then, like, you know, like, what he did caused that. So, like, there was a repercussion, right? But, like, still, he did that, you know? People just, like, accept, oh, yeah, you know, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Well, at the time, obviously, we didn't know that, but I mean, they would have, physicists at the time even probably would have argued, yeah, I guess, but at the same time, there's a lot of other stuff that's going to happen if you immediately halt the Earth's rotation, so that's not, yeah, I mean, yeah. Planets, like things, like the objects, the orbs exist the way they do a lot of the time because they are rotating. You know, you suddenly change that. It changes the whole, changes every dynamic about it. It's not a planet anymore. It's just a bunch of stuff. It's being held to the planet. I mean, like, you get what I'm saying. Like, gravity. And that's partially, I think, why we started figuring some of this stuff out. We understand that gravity should be understood more as circular instead of pulling down. Gravity works when you go round and round and round. At least if you don't, you should be thinking that. That's how all these things were created. I started spiraling around really fast. Dude, just like when you create what we know as like any type of big, massive thing, whether it be like a tornado or even something celestial like a star, you know, it's just basically a spiraling explosion. And you know, anyway, that's enough. we could sit here and discuss. But see, the interesting thing is, see, that's the scientist. I'll sit here and be like, but the interesting thing is, it's not that way. Because it's really not. Like, there's some other things too that disprove that, and like you can sit here and be like, well, there's some other stuff that doesn't rotate. It is, you know, it is that way, but doesn't necessarily discredit it either. Well, anyway, yeah, I could sit here and talk science, but Go watch Superman 2025. Go watch it. I like it. It's good. And not just for like, you know, not in the sense of like, you know, like a hero movie or something like that, but like I like, you know, like it reminds, it's very awe-inspiring, very hopeful, you know, like it's what Superman's supposed to be. He's a symbol of hope. That's it, you know, like goodness, you know, like the concepts of what Jesus stood for and stuff like that, where it's just, it's goodness. It's not anything but that, you know, just doing what you can, being good, you know, and stuff like that, and instead of trying to sit here and say a bunch of people should die for a cause, and then trying to, you know, like, how does that make any sense? What part of that is being good? There's zero justification for any of that, or any part of that. That's why even when I suggested retaliatory measures on like other countries and stuff like that, like, oh, what do you do? Well, even if you want to, you know, like it's escalating or something like that, and they're threatening you, and you are worried about something like that. Well, yeah, unfortunately, Superman doesn't exist, you know. So it's like, you know, the point is, what do? You just, well, no, you don't. You do everything you can to never ever resort to violence. So, like, my suggestion is like, well, if it gets out of hand and you need to resort to some type of way that warns them, you know, like, get the people out of there. And I know their media probably won't tell them, or probably won't warn them, right? Well, you can. You can. You could do it. The U.S. would know how to do that. They could send out a message if they really wanted to. The U.S. could do that if they really wanted to. And they could get the message out for everybody to evacuate. Their country's lying to them. You know, we will be taking action on this particular city. This, you know, it could happen anytime between here and here, yada yada. We're not going to say when, just get out, you know, like that sort of thing, you know. And, like, hey, there you go. At least give them that chance. At the very least, give them that chance. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying, like, don't protect your people. Like, at the end of the day, like, that Superman doesn't exist. But the point is, there's always hope. There's always some sort of other way to handle something, other way to deal with something by using your head. So the point of the movie is, how do you combine the concepts of Superman and Luthor? How do you combine the brain and the brawn? By working together. That's the point. You realize that's the point. In the comic, when they worked together, they actually achieved, like, that's the point. There was a whole arc where Lex succeeds. He unalives Superman. Except by doing that, he discovers that the reason why this other alien race didn't attack is because they were afraid of Superman. So they attack and they take over, and they're way more advanced than Lex can handle, and there's so much of it. Yeah. And so he has to figure out a way to bring Superman back to life just to take them out, and then they become friends. Like, they start working together. And And that's the point. Like, you're supposed to work together. That was the point of Naruto. That was the point of all these different things where, like, you know, you have two people, instead of butting heads, if they would just work together, suddenly instead of hope, you have an answer. You have freedom. That's what America was actually built on. Just so that you know. People getting together and working together. Forcing each other to get in a room and say, let's set aside our differences. That's actually what it was built on. Just so that you know. Oh, man. Man, all these people cycling in and out. We can't get any likes in here? Can we get some likes in here? What's going on with this stream, by the way? Bitrate's being interesting, YouTube. Very interesting. I mean, it's not. I guess it could be worse, but at the same time, like. So it's being interesting, that's for sure. So, yeah, go watch that, man. Go to a movie, go watch it. You know what I want to see? I want to see The Final Reckoning. I loved Dead Reckoning Part 1. I loved Mission Impossible movies. I really, really want to see Final Reckoning. That looks like some really freaking cool. Yeah, like there's some really good movies coming out, man. There's reasons to go. Anyway, I gotta keep going here. Thanks